Hey there, YouTube. It's Pete Two Finger. Today I watched a documentary. These two young girls in 2023 went all across the country following this band, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, a band from Australia. Now, at least one of them said they had used a credit card to finance the ticket prices. And throughout this video, it's a 3-hour tour documentary that these girls made with using their phones. And they have synchronized the board mixes, meaning the audio when you're watching the footage they shot, the audio you're hearing is from the mixing board. And that's like just one of the things that just speak volumes about King Giz. Like, they're giving their fans board mixes of the shows because they know they're making a tour documentary. There was a guy who celebrated his 50th show, and the drummer came out and shook his hand and knew his name and thanked him, like really sincerely thanked him. So there was 25 people that did the entire tour in 2023, and I think we can only expect to see this grow. King Gizzard's being like a significant touring band in the United States. I hope so. I looked at the ticket prices. I haven't gotten to see them yet, and I should have went when I had so many years to go, but the shows are really rough shows. All of the video that I've seen, it's craziness at the shows, and the Chicago shows had notoriety for being so unbelievably bad. The girl couldn't even film. She filmed 13 shows because Chicago, it was just people getting carried over and people getting carried. It was just, with the moshing. And my point about that is that's the reason I never bought a ticket, is because I live with chronic pain. I have a considerable back injury, which has laid me up on this couch for 10 plus years. And it sucks for me. That's just my cross to bear, and that's why I haven't seen King Gizzard, is because I'm not willing to pay a ticket and end up getting into a fist fight because there's somebody who's screaming Nonagon Infinity, opens the door in my ear and slam dancing into me for 2.5 hours. I can't hang. I've been to a lot of shows, and I'm old, and I need to sit down if I'm going to go to a show. I need a seat. I really do. And that's just because I have, I go to a pain clinic. I'm unable to work. It's a considerable back injury that I've suffered. So that's my story on why I've never seen them. It sucks. Today I watched this thing. I could not stop crying through the... They've gotten to be such an unbelievably good band in the past 10 years. Like, they were great in 2015 when I discovered them. They were such a fucking great band, and now they haven't stopped touring, and they really got good. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and it's fucking shot on an iPhone. Which it speaks volumes that these girls did a good enough job, and they didn't really have too much shaky cam. Like, it was good footage, and they had the proper audio from the board. So actually some of it looked really good. So kudos to these two girls. I can't remember their names. It was funny to see that's kind of little community of people as they got to know each other as the tour progressed, and then see them, how sad it was when it ended. But if you've never heard of those guys, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, they have thrown a lot of curveballs, and like you can never guess what they're going to do next. They have like the albums are. It's never just like an album's just a collection of songs. They'll always have some kind of a theme or something. Really cool stuff. I could talk about these guys, but nobody else is in their league. I'm telling you, these guys are like there's never been a band like this, never. And people are getting tattoos and they're dressing up at the shows, and it's like a cult, you know. And I'm really hoping I'll be able to see them, you know. Like that's really the main thing. I gotta see this band. I gotta quit fucking around and go see them, because I've missed so many unbelievable shows. That's not to say that they aren't getting better, but like when I knew them, Eric was still drumming for them, and now he's gone. They used to have 2 drummers, but it's really easy for me to get emotional in talking about this music. I've listened to it a lot. Like, I put a playlist on of their EPs that they did before they even released albums, and then the 12 Bar Brews, like the real early King Giz. It's kind of like garage rock or surf rock sounding. There's a lot of like Fender amps with spring reverb sounds. They got a real distinctive sound. King Gizzard, lo-fi, echo. They use echo and reverb, and they like to use microphones that sound bad, sound real trebly. But it seems like recently they kind of went back around and circled and came back. They've been keep reinventing themselves, and like they did like a metal thing. They did like a boogie woogie blues album. They did like a soft jazz thing, easy listening. So many different things that they've done, and then like Timeland is really cool. I've loved Timeland. If you like Pink Floyd, man, you would. This will blow your mind. But and that's like they made that to play in an intermission between 2 of their shows, and it never happened, so they just released it for free. But they did like techno. They went back and did like 80s style hip hop album. Then they did more stuff about the pollution and the end of the world, and that's kind of they use their heavy metal voice when they play that stuff. Microtonal music. There's an album of that, and then a double album of it that came back later, where they came back around to it. And then it's like the last thing that they did, they kind of came back around to doing their blues rock again. So it seems like they covered an entire span of all different things, and then they looped back around and hit a couple of their favorite points from that, being the metal, maybe some of the synth pop stuff, refining it. And I think they hybrid that. Like, when you see them now, all of a sudden they're all playing synthesizers. Like, it's a guitar band, but then all of a sudden they're all playing synths and pianos and shit. It's like I've never seen any rock band do that. And like seeing Ambrose and Joey trading solos between the harmonica and the lead guitar. Like how tight they were doing that, and how good they sounded. Oh my God, have they gotten good? They were always a great live band, like I said, but they're 10 years older now, and this is all they've been doing. You know, it was like these guys just started out and they were great from the beginning. They were great. And now they've gotten really, like, they're getting older. But they're not, none of them are 40 yet. They're all still young. All these guys are probably coming up on 30 or in their early 30s at the most. I know Cook is a little older, I think. And probably the Cavs, the drummer, might be a little older too. I really don't know. They have a pro skater. This guy, Ambrose, was like kind of a celebrity before the band. And his dad was a famous, he was a musician in Australia as well. I guess Ambrose's father just passed away in 2023, I believe. Because he's on their second, big release. They did it's called Eyes Like the Sky, and it's like a Western movie soundtrack. And it like a spaghetti Western. And there's narration to tell a story. And that's Ambrose's father that does the narration, and it's great. That's called Eyes Like the Sky, and that's great. It's really cool. And they did that at Red Rocks on the last day in the they did it at the Hollywood Bowl at the end of the tour. Ambrose announced that they were going to have him come and do it live, but he died. And then they did it. They played the whole thing, and they had his father's voice piped in on a tape, But the other thing interesting with this band is the art. There's like a theme of art and images that go along with it that they use not only on the album covers and the merchandise, but on the projection screen. Because they have another guy who's does all of the artwork, and then he operates like circuit bent video projection. So there's this really modern aspect to their shows where it's a lot like what Pink Floyd did in the Syd Barrett days. It's just like that. They're such an unbelievably cool band. Like, I can't tell you how cool this fucking band is. King Gizzard and the Lizard. If you don't know about that band, like I said, I talked about it a little bit on here. I mean, I don't want to come on and be like, this fucking music, it'll change your life. But like, when I watched the documentary today, people were saying that they were like suicidal and that this music helped them out. Whenever you hear people say that the band saved their life, you might want to look into it. When people talk about it like that, like it gave them hope to continue, with this bullshit. So like I said, I watched that documentary today, and I've been trying to do some work on my multi-effector. I've got we're bringing back some couple of older songs for a live set list. Hopefully, maybe I can write some music for the duo between now and when the remote season is upon us, meaning usually it's around Mother's Day. I like to try to get out around that time. Of course, if you're unaware, I did just drop an album on this channel that's called Bassist Christ. It's an album that does not have electric guitar on it. It's a bass guitar centric album. And I think it's good. It's hard. I get so close to this stuff, but I think if you're a fan of what I've done in the past, this wouldn't surprise you at all. You'd be like, well, that's P2 finger music. Totally. Like, there's no fronting on it. I'm not trying to the concept was I need to make some good music and interesting, but I'm not allowed to use an electric guitar. So that was really challenging. When you start trying to mix together more than one track of bass, they cancel each other out. So it was a nightmare. But I had some really good inspiration. This musician named Justin Person has a band called The Locust, and another band with Michael Allen Patton that's called Dead Cross. Now, he uses a distorted bass sound that's something called a Schumann phase-locked loop. It's a really expensive. They call it a hen's tooth. It's a really rare effect that this guy used to build. John Schumann, I think his name is. I don't know. I might be. Don't quote me on that. The guy's name who made it. If you know The Locust, you'll know what I'm talking about, and it's a distinctive, almost ring modulated, really distorted bass sound. It's just like the most nastiest bass sound you could ever imagine. And it also sounds kind of computerish because it's a phase locked loop. So that was one of the tools I was able to implement to pull that off, and it worked fairly well. I'm going to be uploading another video today. There was something else that I ran across on just on the internet that I really would love to share with you guys. And I don't want to go too long on this. So if you don't know who King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard is, the album you should start out listening to is called Nonagon Infinity. That album came out in 2016 or 2015, and that's the place for you to start. What you do, you listen to Nonagon till it hits you, and then you can go back and start at the early part of their career. And when you catch up to 2016, then it's time for you to start going from 2016 up until 2024, which Flight 141B is the blues rock thing they just put out. And there is like side projects, like there's the Murloc, there's Murlocs, there's Pipe Eye, there's Crib Death, or what's it called? And Timeland. That's something you gotta like try to download that on your own. You can't really buy Timeland as far as I know, unless you go to one of the events or know a fan. But I really liked Timeland. There's no vocals on it, really, or no traditional vocals. I don't think there is. Maybe Ambrose sings on it a little bit. Yeah, there's some kind of crazy rap on it. But, and that's part of the band is that dude Ambrose, who was the pro skater. He plays piano and he blows harp. And he's also a lead vocalist. He's got a real distinctive, real nasally, thick Australian accent voice. And they always have like spring reverb or some antique sounding echo on his voice. And he's like a soul singer. He's like a lounge master. He's really young. They've got like another lead man in the group. And the lead guitar player is also kind of like he sings too, some lead. So it's just absolutely insane, you know. There's like another guy playing another guitar over on the side, and then on the riser there's the bass player and the drummer, and they have Ambrose is over with his station. They have these stations full of gear. It's just really cool. I'm telling you, man, there is no other band out there that can compare to King Gizzard. They really are the top band. They really are. And I'm not one of these guys who's into Australian stuff. I can't stand Australian hipsters. I can't stand Australian hipsters. I can't stand them. But this band, for some reason, Americans love this band. All right, you guys. I'll let you go. It's 20 minutes. Check out the other video I'm uploading today. It's going to be worth it. You guys take care of yourselves. Check those guys out. Or not. If you haven't heard of them by now, I don't know where you've been. I mean, they were a big deal in 2015. Is when they came out. So you should have heard of them by now, right? And of course, music is subjective. What I love is not going to be what you love. You know, I don't like pina coladas and hanging out in the rain. You guys take care of yourselves. Hug your pets. Isn't that a cute song? I was gonna cheat on my lady, so I put an ad in the paper. Right?
What about what?
I said I was gonna cheat on my lady.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's terrible. Horrific. And then they're like, oh,
like singing it in 4th grade or whatever it was.
I wasn't.
Well,
I'm sure you were on your way to mass. All right, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Hug your pets.